Arsenal and Liverpool, we come on to the revised top four. How about yourselves, Potsy? Because I was actually looking at this between the last international break and now, barring you had that win against Shakhtar, and I think you had one win in the league. That was it. I think you had two wins, and I think it was two wins.
We've only beaten Southampton and Shakhtar. That's it.
Yeah, in the last, in that gap. So yeah, that's what I was looking at.
They were poor. You know, if you remember against Southampton, we started with a bit of a B team or a bit of a reserve team, and we had to bring everybody on to win the game because we actually down. So I
was looking at it. So from the last international break, from the beginning of it till now, you lost to Bournemouth, you beat Shakhtar, you drew with Liverpool, you beat Preston. And then you lost to Newcastle, lost to Inter, drew with Chelsea. It was one win in the league. No wins in the league, and just a win in the League Cup and Champions League in that whole period, which I didn't even realize until I was looking today ahead of the show. Thinking, fucking hell, in a space of a month essentially of football, you won two games, and one of them was against Preston, which is it's a win, but you don't really look at that one win in that time. You guys have got to bounce back and start bouncing back quickly. You play Nottingham Forest, and you're away to Sporting Lisbon, which should be an easier game now that Amarim's gone, but you never quite know. You then away to West Ham, then home to Man United. You guys need to go on a very, very strong winning streak, or am I being a bit harsh here on Arsenal?
No, you're not being harsh. You're being factual. We need to go on a run, and people look now and say you shouldn't look at, the next 10 games. You should try and win one at a time. But unfortunately, we put ourselves in a position where we now have to look at the run of games. We've just done it with Man City, so we definitely got to do it with Arsenal because we're behind them. So I look at what we're doing now, and I personally think we're out of the title race for now. That can change in the future, but I think for now, I just want to try and get ourselves back to winning ways. You've just said it there. We haven't beaten anybody in the league since Southampton, which was before the last international break. So we're looking now and thinking this is a real poor run of form for Arsenal, and we ain't playing well, Tel. And, I said this to a lot of Arsenal fans when they were coming at me and saying, it's too early. I don't care how many points we're behind Liverpool or City or how many points in front of Chelsea or Tottenham or United we are. I look at our performances and I think it ain't good enough at the moment to be going anywhere. Like, we actually aren't playing well enough to be in a top four at the moment, let alone go for a title. That's how bad we have been. And I honestly believe that Mikel Arteta is the guy that needs to improve this now because the style has been poor, and it has continued against the Villas and the Spurs and the Cities away. I thought it was just, let's play this style of football to try and get over this gruesome fixture schedules, right? But we were playing like it against some of the other teams. We were dead against Newcastle. We weren't great against Bournemouth. And I know that we were down to 10 men, but we weren't playing well. We haven't played well at Inter Milan or Chelsea, but people will have you, we were better. We were much better. Well, that is a bad standard to be at there. Because if you're quite happy with the performances against Inter Milan and Chelsea, and you picked up 1 point in both of them, that is not good. Trust me. It weren't good performances. Lumping balls into boxes is not good at the moment. 46 crosses, just hoping that one of them gets on one of our bounces and goes in. That is not a style of play that I want to be seeing 5 years in, £800 million deep. That's not what happens, mate. So for me, I think you need to look at the manager. And I know a lot of people will say, Potts at the manager again. Yeah, of course I am. Like, this ain't no more like time and phases and processes, man. This is done now. So I'm looking at him thinking, how are we going to change this? Because I saw scintillating football in the year of 22-23. I saw good football at the back end of last season. And unfortunately, the start of this season to now, I've not seen good football from Arsenal. It has not been impressive. Yeah. I don't know if there's any rival fan that will be scared of playing Arsenal right now. And I'll tell you this, I've looked at our run of fixtures and I can go through it very quickly. I think we're dropping in the first two games. I don't think we're beating Forest and I don't think we're beating Sporting Lisbon. And the other game I think we're going to drop points in is Craven Cottage. I fancy us to go on a bit of a run in the others. I think we'll beat Palace back-to-back. I actually do think we'll beat United at home. And I do think that we'll win some of the other games in that run, Ipswich's and Brentford's and stuff like that. But I look at it from now until the new year, and I think, we're going to drop points. Now, there's an interesting stat, just lastly. Arsenal drop anything less than 6 points between now and the start of the new year will be in a better position than we were last year. But I think we could end up dropping more than that.
It is the thing for me, yeah. I think you've got to look at your next games. And I don't think there's any excuses not to win all your Premier League games now. Probably, bro, up until 2025.
New year.
Yeah, bro. I know Forest is tough, but you're at home. West Ham away.
Do you think we will be? Like, real talk? Do you think we will?
What?
Do you think we will?
I think you might batter him, actually.
No. I mean, go on that run and not lose again in the league until 2025.
You know what? Well, you probably won't, but I think you should be very disappointed if you don't. Oh, look at your fixtures, man. These are all winnable games. Forest at home, West Ham away, United at home, Fulham away, Everton at home, Palace away, Ipswich at home. These are all games that you should be winning 100%. Like, there's no doubt about it. Even I know United have got a new manager now, but you're at home. You know what I mean? It's a night match. Your fans should be proper up for that. Like, for me, like I see this Arsenal at the moment, like they're on the edge of being potentially out of a title race here. Yeah. Now, I personally still think they're in a title race. I'm not going along with the thing that they're out, right? But if you don't win all them games, like you could be out of it, man. If Liverpool just keep picking up points, what are you behind them now? 9. Well, I think you're under pressure. I think you should go and win all them games. Whether you will or not, I don't know. But I don't know, man. I just think that you've had some tough fixtures. These games now, you win all these games, you'll be right back in it. You'll be right back in it. But you put the pressure on yourselves now, as we have done as well. So I don't know, man.
Did you two agree with Gary Neville when he said Arsenal have had it the worst they can have it? It's not going to get as bad again as this.
What do you mean by that? What's he talking about there?
I didn't get it. I didn't understand what he was meaning.
I think what he means is, my interpretation was, you've had a lot of tough away games. You had the 3 red cards, which is a little bit of an anomaly, and maybe even a little bit of bad luck in some of the games. And I think he's almost alluded to, your run of fixtures won't be as hard as you've had it. It's unlikely you're going to get in, say, the next 10 games, another 3 red cards, next 11 games, another 3 red cards, and he thinks your results will turn around.
And injuries as well, he said.
And injuries, yeah. I think there is an element of truth to that. The problem is that when you've had those bad runs of form and those bad patches and you've dropped the points, you have to now you almost have to go through your next 10, 11 games. I honestly feel like, to win the league, you've got to win. Maybe not all of them, because it depends. I think you've got to win at least 9 of your next 11 games. I think you have genuinely have to, because Liverpool are not going to drop very many points. So when they do, you've got to. The way I think you can make Liverpool collapse is with the pressure mounting. So let's say, I don't know who they've even got this weekend. I haven't even looked.
Southampton.
So they've got Southampton, away or home?
I think they're away. But
they're away. Let's just say you win this week. You beat Nottingham Forest and they draw. So that goes from a 9-point gap to a 7-point gap. It's a little bit more pressure on Liverpool the next time they play. Maybe you both then win your next 2 or 3 games. And then Liverpool drop points. And then you win. It's suddenly 5 points. That 5-point gap, plus City might be closer to them by them as well. That puts more pressure on them and can create that nervous energy in games, which could lead to more. If you guys keep now dropping points in the easier games, you're just done. So I get where Gary Neville's coming from, and there is an element of truth to it. But what that doesn't do is guarantee that you do get all the points in the next few games. And I think Arsenal need to go into these matches with so much intensity, with the bit between their teeth. And I think in the next 11 Premier League games, I haven't even looked at who you're playing, I think you need 9 wins minimum to go into that final third of the season with a genuine hope of winning the league. If you drop, if you drop points in more than 3 games in that time, you're not turning around this 9-point gap, especially if you drop points, Liverpool increase their lead over you. So it's an awkward position that you're in.
You know what?
What
it might do though, Terry. Yeah, it's because they're in this situation. It might make him relax on the whole Tony Pulis style football, and it might make him. You know what? We actually need to win. Draws are not good enough here. Let's just go for it. Yeah, what I mean, because that is something that I think is people have criticised Arteta for. Is like, why have you changed it? A couple of years ago, you used to go out there, play really fast-paced football. You used to blow teams away. Now it's a bit stale, a bit boring, because like he's gone for this super defensive style play. So he might go, well, there's no point in drawing matches. A draw doesn't do anything for us now. It's a dead result.
We have to, LB. But what's going to be interesting, I think, for me now, not just with Arsenal, is I kind of feel like if we just take the 3 that we believe are going to be in this title race, potentially Arsenal, Liverpool, and Manchester City, they're kind of all in a situation where this is happening for the first time. So we've never really been chasing the pack this much as a title race. We were in the top 4 races, but we were never in a title race like people think we are now, this far behind. So this is a first for Mikel Arteta. He's chasing the pack. So maybe you're right, he might relax. Liverpool have never been this far in front under Arne Slot. And Pep's never really been in a situation where he's got probably his best player, in my opinion, his best player out for the full season. His other best player, who doesn't seem to be able to stay fit, in KDB, and chasing the pack in this situation. Now, I understand that Pep's chased the pack before, right? But I kind of feel like we're all in the first. In a way, for the neutral, it's really quite exciting to see how this is going to pan out because, people are expecting Liverpool to fall off at some stage. I don't know if they will by 12 points, but I certainly think they're going to lose games of football. I expect Man City to lose more games and I expect Arsenal to lose more games. So I really can't see where this is going to go. I would have to say at the moment I favour Liverpool because of how things are, but things can change in football so much. Terry's right. If they were to slip up unbelievably against a team like Southampton, you just don't see that coming. I never had them losing to Forest at Anfield. Never had that happening. Something like that happens again, and Arsenal and City capitalise, and all of a sudden it goes from 9-7 and 5-3 or whatever it is at the Man City behind them at the moment. So I'd be looking at that now, thinking, wow, this could be really quite exciting. One thing I will agree with though is that Arteta needs to change the style up, man, because this has been poor for too long now.
Yeah,
more attack-minded.
And it's really. I was looking back through your fixtures today, the same as with Cities, and like the Bournemouth game, the red card happens. You didn't start well, you end up losing. The Liverpool game, they played with injuries, but if Saka and Gabriel and Timber didn't need to come off, you probably win that game. In my opinion, I think you win that game. The Newcastle match, you were outclassed in that game. I thought the Chelsea game was a very good football match. You just the circumstances weren't there. If that Liverpool game's a win, although you'd still only be 7 points behind them, maybe the mood would have been different going into the next few games. What you haven't been able to do yet this season is pick up that, get ahead of steam and win. I don't know what your biggest winning streak was last year. I think at least 6, I think you won on the bounce. You've got to go on a bit of a run like that now. And then some of those games are tough. Nottingham Forest are tough. Man United could be a hard game. But I do look at all your league games. I think you should be beating Forest at home. You should be beating West Ham away. They're poor, awful right now. United could be an anomaly because the new manager's in there, but your record at home against us recently is very good. Fulham away is a tough game. Home against Everton, you should be winning. And away against Palace, you should be winning. Home against Ipswich, you should be winning. That takes you right through until the 27th of December. Honestly, I look at all those games, and I think the only one where I think you could go okay with dropping points based on who you've got is Fulham away. The rest of those games legitimately should all be W's. They should all be wins for Arsenal.
Look, what should be happening is we should be winning them all now until the new year. That's what should happen on paper. But I just know that Arsenal aren't playing well enough. And look, if Arsenal start blitzing teams, we come in. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think Manchester City on paper should be most of their times. But are they going to beat the Spurs? Are they going to beat? We just don't know because of the way we're playing at the moment. But if we come back and we think, right, Odegaard's back, we're flying here. This has got Martinelli into the game. We're looking at our midfield because there's been a lot that we actually haven't had to have to be able to do. I'm still waiting to see what our best 11 is. I'm still waiting to see how we can get what this midfield looks like.
What's so interesting about those games, though, is this. If you look at this season, and I know people do ifs, I don't like ifs. Well, we're predicting. When you predict, you have to use ifs. You drop points to Chelsea, Newcastle, Liverpool, okay, and then City when you had, and ironically, one of those games you went down to 10 men. The Bournemouth game, Brighton are the only teams that you put outside of that kind of that top 6 plus Newcastle, very tough away game. But you lost a man in both those matches. All the other games, you beat Wolves, you beat Villa, you beat Tottenham, you beat Leicester, you beat Southampton as an example. The teams you're coming up against are all in and around that standard. So I think, again, everyone's saying Arsenal can't win them all. I'm not saying they will win them all. I'm simply pointing out to be in this title race between now and the new year, I think you can only afford to drop points in at least one of those games unless Liverpool have a mini collapse. And Arsenal have got to raise those standards and they've got to get it done. They have to. They really, really do. But they are winnable if you guys go out there and play a faster pace of football, take a few more risks. You are so much better than the majority of those teams if you play a certain way. And I'm not even trying to big Arsenal up here. I actually think what I'm doing is putting the standards out there that you guys can't go into the games at home against Forest playing negatively. You've got to go out there and try and blow them away because I know they're having a good start to the season, but you're so much better than Forest. You're so much better than West Ham, so much better than Everton, Palace, Ipswich, even Brentford. They're good, but I mean, they're at 12th, Brentford. They're not exactly, people go, oh, they're a good team, Brentford. They're 12th in the league. They're not Man City. They're not Liverpool.
No, I agree. I agree with you.
Should be beating them.
I agree with you. There's no way we should be going into those games believing our point might be all right here. We could drop points here. No, man, we got to win them all. And, for me, I look at this team at the moment and I think there's not really any excuses anymore because there's not really anybody injured. I know Trossard has come back with potentially an injury. We don't know how long that he's going to be out for. But other than that, I think everybody is back fit. So we've got Calafiori coming back now. We've got Tomiyasu back now. Erdegaard's back now. Saka and Rice are going to be fine from what we hear as well. So there's no excuses anymore of Arsenal haven't got their best players and Arsenal haven't got this, that and the third. We've got all of our players we believe that are fit. And now it's time for Mikel Arteta to deliver. None of this, we got this red cards and discipline issues and VARs and refs are against us and injury problems doing this. Just go and win our games, man. Let's just stop using all these crap excuses all the time. Just go and beat the likes of Ipswich, Brentford, Fulham, Palace and bloody Forest. That's not that much of an ask for a team that should be going for a title.
I like these comments. So disrespectful. Games are not won on paper. I don't think Arsenal are better on paper than those teams. I think Arsenal are better than those teams. Do you want to know what the real true barometer is here? Red. They're currently ahead of all those teams in the league, and they've been ahead and finished above all of those teams in the league the last 2 years. Maybe even, barring Man United 3 years ago, they've finished ahead of all those teams in the last 3 seasons. So I'm not talking about on paper they're better. It is not disrespectful to say that Arsenal are a better footballing team than Forest, West Ham, Fulham, Everton, Palace, Ipswich and Brentford. To say that's disrespectful, I think is so ridiculous. It's unbelievable. Arsenal are a better team now than those.
You think a Brighton fan's going to be sitting here going, it's disrespectful that you're saying Arsenal are better than us. No, come on, man. What are we doing here, bro?
Crazy.
Stop this nonsense, man. What are we doing here, boy? Insert the Sean Dyche meme, man. Insert the meme. Get that Sean Dyche meme up on the screen.
I hear ya. Revised top 4 as we go into this really important sector. Based on what we know already, what would your top 4 be, Potsy?
I still think City will win the league. I'm going to go Liverpool 2nd, Arsenal 3rd, and Chelsea 4th. As things stand right now. I don't think Arsenal pick up enough from what we need. I don't think Liverpool drop off to the state of falling out of top 2. But I just never write off Pep and Man City. And I think Chelsea, to be fair, Villa are looking a little bit too inconsistent. And I think the Champions League might put them off a little bit. Although I think they're doing very well in that. And I just think Chelsea have proved to actually have a little bit of structure now under Maresca. And I think their squad and the players they can bring on is enough to get them Champions League football. So that's the 4 I would have in order. City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea.
Yeah, I'm not going to change. There are 0 revisions. I'm going to stick with it. And I'll back it. City, Arsenal, Liverpool, Villa. That's what I went with at the start of the season. I'm going to stick with that.
That's what I went with. Oh, no, did I not?
No, you didn't put Villa in.
I tell you who I put in. Who I put in before a ball was kicked. I thought it would be City, Arsenal, Liverpool in the top 3 because they had 1 game a week and I thought that they'd pick up their form from previous season. I had Newcastle in Champions League. They've just fallen off this season. I mean, they picked up and then fallen off. They've just been way too inconsistent for my liking. But yeah, I will go with Chelsea in the Champions League, man. But fair play, LB. Sticking with it. I mean,
I'm sticking with it, man. Listen, I can justify it easy. Yeah, I still think City will win the league, but at the moment it's looking ropey. And I'd just be amazed if Slot keeps this up all season. I just think at some point they have got to go through a little bit of a tough patch. Surely, are you telling me he's going to come in and just slam it for the foot? If he does that, then that's off to him.
Well, he is going to have. I mean, nearly every single team has a bad patch. I don't even I remember the season, I think, when you guys did in 2018, where you did the Centurions, you still had that little period where United came from behind to beat you. You then lost in the Champions League. You had like a little period that season where you lost 2 or 3 games in a short space of time. Most teams will have one in a campaign. And this is why it's so important for City and Arsenal now. And look, Chelsea fans, some may still think they're in the race to go on a really good winning run until that blip happens so that you're a handful of points behind so you can cap it. The last thing you want is to give up now, be 12 points behind, then Liverpool go and lose 3 out of 4 league games. And even though you win, you're still 6-7 points behind. You can't allow that to happen.